And now the 419 with Gretchen DeBacker, Matt Killam, and Kevin Mullen.
Welcome into another episode of the 419, powered by WGTE and presented by Outro Wealth Management. I'm Kevin Mullen, alongside my highly capable co-hosts.
Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Gretchen DeBacker and Matt Killam.
Thanks, Kevin.
It was mostly aspirational. We've got an exciting show for you today. We are talking about some of the most exciting things happening in the region this weekend. So this is our first edition of our sort of joint 419 Toledo.com community calendar, where we'll be looking at some of the top events in the region and ways for you to get out and enjoy Northwest Ohio. And so we'll have John Iikist from Toledo.com will be joining us. And then we're also joined by Dr. Katie Peters, who works full-time, works at Washington Local, but also a local motivational speaker and is giving a talk on kindness. And so we'll learn a little bit about that.
Matt,
you
you want
guys,
to pay attention.
I brought a pen.
we've
That's
gotten
my
some.
pen from yesterday.
I brought Gretchen's pen from yesterday.
Speaking of kindness, I don't know about you guys, but like this, obviously we're coming up on almost a week in of the new show, and I've got a lot of people have been very kind to me about the early episodes.
What kind of reviews have you gotten so far?
So I've gotten texts from friends and obviously the comments on social media and all that, but texts from friends saying like, hey, I really love this, or love the guests and love the banter, love the set. And so a lot of that's been really good. My parents have eventually watched the show, but like I'm a little perturbed because like it was a big deal, right? Like, I mean, I think I've told this story on the podcast before. Like when I worked in television, when I was in college, I would come home to my parents' house and they would be watching the competing TV station.
Sure.
And didn't
Obviously.
watch
Right.
the station I'm on.
Of course.
And so I
Just to motivate you, though, probably.
well, sure. But I feel like, 20 years of therapy, I should be worked through this only for it to all come right back. Literally 6 p.m., our show is on, 30.4 connects. And at 6 p.m., my mother is at a different taping of a different show.
Sure.
Not even her own son. So come on, Mom. Like,
How many
whatever.
tapings are there? The fact that there's even these tapings available to go see at the exact same time.
Right.
She would have to search that out.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
this is not a thing that she goes to all the time.
Right.
It's
Sure.
just like, you know what?
I need a distraction from my embarrassment. My mom thinks I work at the zoo. And so she's there pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, he works behind.
Looking for you.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. He does the lights.
Well, my mom called me this week, I can't remember what night, at 7:05. So she had clearly watched at
Well
6
done.
p.m. And she said, I thought it was good. But I do really think she thought it was good.
Do you believe? I say the
No,
way
she
you
went high.
delivered that.
She went high, so it was at first questionable. But then she had actual notes.
What were the
Well,
notes?
the first note she had was that Matt should stop wearing this hat.
Okay.
She said because
just on the show or in life?
Just on the show.
Okay.
Because she's like, you can't see his handsome face. She
Aw.
did say that.
Yeah, that's because she's never actually seen my face. This hat, I was going to wear a welding helmet.
Oh.
But we
Too much
Too
sound.
much, yeah.
Yeah, noise, yeah.
So,
And then she also said that she said that I looked nice, but that the lights were too stark, and
Okay.
I should tell them to warm them up. And I was like, I don't know who.
Does that mean just turn them on sooner?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
have never heard her comment on lighting in my 55 years of existence.
Yeah.
But maybe it's an expertise she has I just didn't know about. But she did tune in. She found it on WGTE Connects,
course.
and I think she said she was gonna send it to her brother and sisters.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
who passed away many,
They're in other states.
Yeah,
but that's
that's
not
right.
the point.
Yeah.
That's not the point.
Well, the lights are warming up.
Yes.
That's right.
So that's a good thing. We're getting warmed up as well. It's going to be a great show. Coming back on the other side of the break, we're going to be joined by John Iikist from Toledo.com, and we'll start talking about some of the top events in the region. We'll be right back. It's the 419.
To me, community means connecting to others.
What will it really take to bring peace to Toledo's neighborhoods?
I love PBS Kids! We're a community committed to education. Discover new ideas, dive into exciting subjects, and engage with the world around you.
It's all chapters in a book.
I would send them personally a t-shirt. Crime doesn't pay in the Old West End, pass it on. That's how we cleaned up the neighborhood.
Brings back memories that you don't think are there, you know.
WGTE Public Media invites you to Get Out and Play Day.
The people of Toledo have really become family. You know, they walk in and it was just like, hey, it's so good to see you.
Hello there and welcome to a WGTE Public Media Town Hall meeting.
WGTE, where you come to watch, listen, and learn.
I love PBS Kids.
Welcome back to the 419. We're joined now by John Iikist from Toledo.com. We'll talk in a little bit about some of the top events in the region. But John, why don't you start off what is Toledo.com?
Who is John Iikist?
Yeah, who?
And what is the social security number and your mother's maiden name?
Why John Iikist? Why?
So Toledo.com, I like to tell people it's a website, arts, culture, entertainment focused mostly, and mainly focusing on positive people, places, and things. I think that, as you know, I think the reason I'm here today is our event calendar is the foundation of the website. It's why we have the traffic that we do. People, we work hard to try to pull together, you know, really everything that's going on, from it could be a community garage sale to Jeep Fest, everything in between. So our website, I think of it as a resource. And
John, when is the Jeep Fest garage sale?
Well, that's what I'm here to talk to you about.
That's right. I'm glad you asked, man.
We want to sell this hat for starters. No, but so yeah, I think that, like I said, we want to be good stewards of the domain Toledo.com. And when I first started with Toledo.com over 21 years ago, that was the focus of the website. And it's just, we've tried to grow it and polish it, you know, all these years later.
I don't want to nerd out too much on like the URL, but like it fascinates
Not
me.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it fascinates me that you own Toledo.com.
Yeah.
And that the city doesn't own it.
And
that's true.
And the foresight. Did Ian and yourself start out with a half a dozen, like Dayton.com as well? Did that?
No, I will tell you a quick funny story. When Ian is the brainchild behind buying that domain, at the suggestion of his mother, actually, back in the mid-90s, when the internet was in its infancy.
Sure.
And it was the Wild West. And so people were buying domains like that for vanity email addresses. Mm-hmm. And so when
Kevin,
Ian,
you know a lot about vanity.
It's
unrelated to that comment.
I've got a couple of vanity email addresses.
There you go.
Yeah.
So he bought Toledo.com, but at the same time, Cleveland.com and Miami.com were also available. But he was fresh out of college, and it was pricey, a little bit pricey to buy.
Do you mind me asking, just out of curiosity, do you know what was the cost? What is pricey?
I think it was $150.
Sure.
But if you had Miami.com today, even an
God.
undeveloped website, it's $1 million domain easily. So
He might have picked the wrong one to register.
It's a positive show, Gretchen.
Yeah, thanks.
Just for money,
I'll
just
see
for money
myself
wise.
out.
Yeah.
No, and so, he was involved with web design early on, and I came on in 2004 and just kept saying, I think you could do more with this domain name. And he was busy building websites and said, have at it, go for it. And so, again, just focusing on events is one of those things that keeps people coming back to the site. We're not a one and done kind of site, because people submit their events daily, weekly, and we work hard. There's a content editor who, along with myself, Deb Weiser, who she and I are sharing a Google Doc of trying to keep a radar on everything that's going on, from organizations like the Metro Parks and the Zoo and the Museum and Live Arts Toledo, as well as there are a lot of nonprofits that have kind of a one big fundraiser of the year kind of thing, and so if you don't know that organization, you don't necessarily know, hey, this is going on this weekend. So we're trying to be that one kind of curated, aggregated site, you know, where people can find this information.
We had you as a guest on the podcast, you know, prior to this kind of venture with WGTE,
Right.
so we got to know you a little bit there. But for folks that may not have gotten to know you, let's back up a little bit. And like, you're born and raised here in Toledo.
That's right, South Toledo, not far from here, as a matter of fact. And
we don't disclose the location of this recording. So if you could.
It's kind of like the Bat Cave.
That's right.
Yeah, South Toledo, Beverly, Burndale, St. John's, Miami University, and
Burndale, the most attractive building in TPS inventory at the time?
Since it's been torn down since I was there.
Sure.
It was called Hardy High back in the day. It was
Come on.
concrete and orange. Yeah,
I remember the
like
orange.
a Hardee's.
Yeah.
But
oh, right, I get it now.
That's for another segment.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right. Save that magic for the
That's
second
right.
segment.
Absolutely.
What did you study at Miami?
Speech communications, public relations. And so I always tell people it was the major with the least math requirement. So
That's what I picked
That's
too.
what I focused
You'll find
on hard.
a warm audience
All
for
three
that
of us,
here.
I think, are like changed our
Excellent.
major 4 times until there was
Excellent.
no math.
I feel more comfortable
And I
already.
was homeschooled, so
I used to try to convince my parents, so I also went to Miami, studied mass
I didn't know that.
communications, and I tried to tell my parents that I was in the academic version of communications because all of the football players took speech communications, and so clearly I'm in the right program.
Sure.
That wasn't entirely accurate, but it made them feel good about helping contribute toward tuition for 4 years. So
Right.
that's the point.
You
of
were
that
doing
for me.
something
So when
real.
you say speech, I'm like, I think that's where I used to say all the football players went. So
John, you played football.
Clearly.
Yeah, strong safety. That's right. Yeah, I mean, not in the traditional sense of strong.
So Miami, come back to Toledo right away? Did you go to
Yeah, no, came back to Toledo. Only one summer did I test the idea of maybe moving to Chicago. But, you know, kind of in the spirit of what this show is about and has been about.
Vanity.
Yes. I know, I realized that the network that I had here and the opportunities that I had here, you know, I think I'm, you know, not the only one that would say, if you want to get something done in Toledo, it feels achievable here versus, you know, if you lived in New York City or Chicago or Atlanta, whatever. You know, I've heard a lot of people say that if you find the right people who are supportive, they'll immediately tell you who you need to talk to, who you need to connect with to get your idea, you know, across the finish line or to be successful. And I really like that about Toledo. We're close enough to big cities that, you know, I can go to whatever, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, Columbus, whenever, you know, I want to venture to other types of events. But, you know, there's a lot on the rise here in Toledo, as everybody knows. So.
You're a very strong advocate for local voices, for live performances, live music, theater. Did that come as a result of working at Toledo.com all these years, or did you already have that interest and you put it and that's how you knew that this calendar was needed?
I think, you know, one of my early jobs out of college was at City Fest, and so those events were a big deal. It was Party in the Park, Rally by the River, and seeing people kind of come together for those big events got me started in event coordination. The Crosby Festival, I worked at the Toledo Botanical Garden for 3 years and helped put that together. So I've kind of seen both sides of it, and yeah, I just think arts and entertainment, you know, that's what kind of brings the heartbeat to the city. So I like the idea of highlighting that, and but I also was involved with programs like Leadership Toledo early, and Leadership Toledo, I did that in the mid-90s. And it really kind of opens your eyes if you really, you know, these things that you take for granted year after year, and if you just go to these events, it's one thing, but then you start to meet the people who are putting them together.
And all the work it takes.
All the work it takes.
Yeah, and all the effort that goes into that.
I know that this is started looked at in a more sophisticated fashion as opposed to the binary state, but John, would you describe yourself as an introvert or an extrovert?
Wow. I'm a little of both. I like to
Answer the question, John.
I like to be social,
Yeah.
but I also enjoy, I can spend time by myself.
Okay.
And, you know, I think maybe we got into this in the last time that we kind of got together to have this type of conversation. But there's people.
John's referring to he and I meeting by the train stop, where
That's
John
right.
spends his downtime photographing still trains.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
No, I think people are curious or not curious, and if you're curious, you explore and you, you know, kind of check what's going on, and you don't worry for people to say 10 of your friends to say this is cool, this is you know the hip thing to do. You just explore based on your interests, and I would say, in that way, I'm an extrovert, and I don't mind kind of getting out there and doing that, but at the same time. Limited social battery, you know what I mean? So
Right.
you
Right.
just need to, that's why we have the metro parks. You just go for a walk. And
I think I've always enjoyed that definition of introvert versus extrovert is what charges your battery.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? Is it people or is it privacy?
Yeah.
Right? Is it being, you know, alone at home and that's what recharges your battery, or being out with you know, at a concert and with a bunch of people? Is that what charges your battery?
I also think that, you know, again, this is being looked at in a more sophisticated fashion, but if it isn't just because of our age, right, which is certainly a factor, but if you're talking about your battery at all, you are not an extrovert, right, because you are starting to inventory the fact that
That's right.
it comes at,
That's
I
a
don't
good
mean
point.
a cost detrimentally, but you're like, I don't, you know,
Yeah.
so those are all things that you want to qualify and quantify. But I will tell you, John, that at the risk of making you feel uncomfortable, I think that's what makes you uniquely good at what you do. First of all, if somebody is having an ephemeral event or they're one big event a year, you and your team can assist them saying, this is what your messaging should be. Don't forget to put the where, which everyone has made the mistake over the time on this information. But being able to pull people through and make them feel comfortable about potentially a really anxiety-inducing annual extravaganza or a big thing to them. It isn't easy. You do a great job of that. Also, everyone talks about needing a community calendar,
Right.
but you know more than most, the problem with orchestrating a community calendar is people giving you the actual information, so you have to almost beat it out of them too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think, you know, I appreciate the kind words about the calendar. Like I said, we work hard at it, and it does take quite a bit of work to have it
Yes.
be accurate and consistent.
And
There are a
updated,
number
yeah,
of
yeah,
there are a
absolutely.
number of kind of efforts over the years. Like I said, I've been doing this 21 plus years, so there have been a number of efforts that have kind of come and gone, depending on whether or not they have an intern that's actually going to keep up the
Right.
a website or you know the information.
We've been
So-
trying to replace Gretchen with an intern for days.
Turns out they need like 5. So
Wow.
that's
Yeah,
why-
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't know that's where he was going with that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
No, so I think that, you know, if you get it wrong a few times, you know, people will maybe give you some grace, but if it's repeatedly
Yeah.
Right.
inaccurate, then people just, they know, not a trusted source. So we take it very seriously and we try to do the best we can.
It's an incredible resource.
All right, John, are you ready for Gretchen's wacky quiz?
Yeah.
It's crazy quiz.
Yeah, okay.
Well, now she cares. Yeah.
It's not really.
We're trying to
It's
bring
the
She just
fourth-
came alive.
It's
Yeah,
the
that's right.
419
Yeah.
quiz.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Call
Okay.
it what you want.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to ask you 4 rapid-fire questions.
On the
Gretchen's
spot.
going to ask you for your favorite thing in the region, and Matt is going to ask you to describe the region in 9 words.
Wow.
Not or less, exactly
This
9.
hour.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ready? You ready?
Sure.
All right. Describe yourself in 1 sentence.
How long is this segment?
That's it.
Just filibuster it.
That's the sentence.
got-
I'm a curious person who enjoys learning about other people's passions.
Love it.
What's the best pair of shoes you've owned?
Merrill's.
We are so old.
Merrill chameleons.
All right.
Don't have to tie them.
What's a word you have a hard time pronouncing?
Chameleon.
I'm so
what's
excited
that?
that you have
Yeah.
to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a word that I consider myself, I love words, so anesthesiologist. Did I get that right?
I think you did.
Or
Anesthesiologist. Yeah.
anesthesiologist.
Yeah. I can see you concentrating very
Okay,
hard
but
on
the
that.
audience doesn't know
Such
that took-
important content
took
that I'm
50
sure that
takes.
your
Yeah.
audience is
I
just.
so badly want to ask you these last 2 questions, but I'm only going to ask you one of them because I committed to 4.
All right.
What would be the title of your autobiography?
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Just that's
it.
it.
That was it.
That's it.
What's the number one best thing, most favorite thing about the city or the region?
The people. I think that the people, we really do, people joke or maybe stereotype the Midwest and all these things, but I do think that there is an underlying friendliness and kindness to people in Toledo. So I guess I would say that.
All right, 9 words to describe the region.
9, I can't think of 9
That's okay.
words that describe
There's a lot of grace
anything.
here. Just roll through it. You already said creative.
Creative.
All right.
Friendly.
All right.
Welcoming.
All right. You're doing so good.
I can tell you're writing this down.
30 seconds.
That's right.
How many do I have?
7. You said warm.
I said warm,
right.
friendly.
This is torture for him.
It really is.
I kind of
This
enjoy
is
it.
That does it?
Torture.
Yeah.
Torture is the
Torturous.
lesson.
Yep.
Torturous.
Yeah.
Diverse.
Yeah. 2 more.
Wow.
Well,
supportive.
Yeah, supportive.
Did I say that earlier?
One more.
No, you
got
didn't.
One more, buddy.
And let's say flat.
My man.
I like it.
I do
That's
like
good.
the Midwest.
That's good.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing. I spent a summer in Colorado, and I was in the mountains, and I realized by being in the mountains, I actually feel at home when I can see the horizon
yeah.
and see where I'm going. And in Colorado, I felt like it's inside a bowl, and I
didn't care for it.
I like the Midwest.
You're more comfortable
I love it.
as a flat earther.
That's
Right. That's our next.
that's a whole
that's right.
nother.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with John Iikist from Toledo.com, and we will unveil our top 5 events in Northwest Ohio for this weekend. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on the 419.
Support for the 419 comes from Outro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at outroadvisors.com. And from WorkSpring, supporting healthy and vibrant businesses, one workplace at a time. More information at workspring.org. Join us every Wednesday for Wellness Wednesday, sponsored by WorkSpring. The 419 is also sponsored by Toledo Refining Company, serving Northwest Ohio and East Toledo for over 125 years. More information at ToledoRefiningCompany.com. And TARDA, celebrating its 55th year of connecting Northwest Ohioans to their community. More information at TARDA.com. Tune in every Thursday for the Toledo.com Community Calendar presented by TARDA. Interested in supporting the 419 and other great local programming at WGTE? Visit WGTE.org.
Welcome back into the 419. We are continuing to be joined by John Iikist from Toledo.com as we take a look at our Toledo.com community calendar. This is kind of the core piece of this website is the events calendar.
That's right.
And also during the break, John, you mentioned that you thought we should have as many data centers as possible.
That's right.
Just to manage the calendar.
Just lining the riverfront.
That's how good it is.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure I give you a chance to. That's a provocative take.
Absolutely.
That's
now
right.
you can give my email address.
That's right.
His home address is.
That's right.
Yeah.
John Iikist at datacenter.com.
One of the reasons that we wanted John and Toledo.com to be part of our show and to sort of be our official calendar is because of the things we've already talked about: the quality of the presentation, how up to date it is, how thorough it is. But people can actually get their event information to you for free.
That's right.
By going to Toledo.com/events and submit their event. It will be posted, maybe vetted by your team, but be posted on the website, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And all you really need is a working email address, and submit your information. It's very, very simple. It's just a matter of kind of filling in the fields, the date, time, location, and then even event description and place for a link, to find additional information and that type of thing. As you mentioned, it is moderated, so we just kind of generally take, might not even be 24 hours, just to make sure that everything is on the up and up with the event that has been submitted, and maybe sometimes, occasionally, more than one person will submit an event for, maybe a whole committee is involved with a fundraiser.
And several people, right.
So it's just a matter of kind of doing those little housekeeping tasks, and then it's live.
So there's a human being that's physically looking at every single one of those entries to say, is this a legitimate event? Is it already on our calendar? Is this the kind of thing that we want to promote?
That's right.
And you also have a separate listing aside from events or fundraisers or community events. It's a gig guide.
The gig guide.
So for live bands, playing at
music.
bars, that kind of thing.
And that's in some ways a more difficult undertaking, just because, start times are
ambiguous,
fluid, and
past our bedtime.
That type of thing. But there are a lot of venues that I'm sure that we'll get into as this partnership kind of flourishes. But typical places that someone would go to see live music around town, and that have maybe music 7 days a week.
John, on a personal note, do friends? I don't think I've done this to you, but do friends call you or text you and say, "What should I do this weekend?"
Or what are you doing?
Yeah. Every so often.
Sure.
Yeah, someone will say, "Hey, my family's coming into town. What's the big thing that we should be doing?"
You're
together?
like a curator of experiences, I think.
Maybe so.
There you go.
I'm sure. If I haven't done that before, I'm certainly going to start now.
I will say, working with nonprofit organizations in the area and trying to plan different events. I've used, not only have I've submitted events to be listed on the website, but I've also used the site sort of to research available dates to say, hey, we're debating between these 2 weekends, or we're thinking about one of these 3 Thursdays in October.
See what's going on.
Let's go look and see what else is happening in the area, or let's go, try and figure out like what typically happens that week, so we can decide there's always going to be multiple events, and that's one of the things I love about Toledo is there's always a lot of things to do.
Sure, that's right.
But we go there to say, which of these dates are we going to pick? And so it's been a good resource for that too.
And it's a great problem to have, obviously, if there's multiple choices, for things going on. You kind of touch everybody in the community. But to your point, especially if it's a fundraiser and it's kind of a one shot, this is how we make significant dollars for this nonprofit. You don't want 2 or 3 organizations doing their big event the same Saturday, that type of thing.
Yeah, so planning your little fundraising dinner the same night as Barefoot at the Beach is just a bad idea.
Right.
But
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so we have along with the event calendar, there is a page that captures all the months, and what we try to do with that is include the best of. And we don't use that term to slight any events that aren't on the list, but things like I said, Jeep Fest or the Zoo to Do or the TMA Block Party, those are things that are big that people want to get on their mind and in their calendar months in advance, just so they're in town and they're ready for it.
Yep.
So
well,
I've certainly found enough times that those events come and go,
and
somehow
you're like, wait
I
a
missed
minute.
it. I'm like, or I find out it's like, oh, it's in 2 weeks, and I'm like, I already planned on doing something else, but it's like, man, I wish. So I did not know that piece of the site existed, so thank you for that.
Well, even in people can brave the January temperatures. There is stuff to do outside of your house in January. Let's talk about what's coming up in the next couple of days. The first thing we have is the authors event at the Toledo Library on January 8th with Connie Berry.
Yep, Main Library. People can get more information on that at toledolibrary.org. I'm very excited for our next event, and I think I might try to take my nieces to this, but this is at the Valentine Theater, and it's titled, Are You Ready for It? A Taylor Swift Experience. That's right.
John, you'll be at that as well, I'm assuming.
That's right. I'm a big Swiftie.
Yeah.
No, I have respect for.
So that's like a sing-along as far as you know?
Yeah, I think, at any time it's a Taylor Swift event, it's a sing-along.
Thank you.
So there's
Obviously,
that. But,
right.
a tribute act that's at the Valentine Theater, which is a beautiful space.
Oh, it's a live act.
It's a live act.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
You could have found that information
Toledo.com.
Yeah, had you
Right,
done
right.
any level of research whatsoever. So,
More information on that event can be found at valentinetheater.com. And then for Matt and Kevin and any other fans of the University of Toledo, we have men's and women's basketball games this weekend, both on Friday and Saturday.
I will be at both of them.
Okay. Are you doing the
I'm
color commentary?
No, I don't do color commentary,
Oh.
Gretchen. How long have we known each other?
Not that long.
No, I will be announcing
You and I.
both
Yeah.
of those games.
Okay.
yeah.
I will say it's been an exciting season for both teams. On the men's side, they've got a couple of, I'm going to be able to say this sentence now for the rest of eternity, thanks to the transfer portal and NIL and all that, but they've got a bunch of new guys that are exciting. I mean, almost the entire team is new, with the exception of a couple of players, just because of the portal, right? So a bunch of players leave, a bunch of players come in. There is a freshman on the team, Leroy Blyden Jr., that is just exciting to watch because at any given moment, he can hit a deep three, he can drive by somebody, he can dunk, he can block a shot. I mean, it's all of it. And so,
Of those things, Gretchen, what is your favorite?
I think the shot.
Yeah, that's right.
And the women's team, obviously, that goes. I don't care how the team is playing.
They're exciting to watch.
The atmosphere of a women's game.
That's what I was
going
to say. I think that UT athletics in general, in the last 5-10 years, the fan support and the enthusiasm and excitement there that's just a fun experience. And that's also, again, something that the whole family can do.
Absolutely.
And it's easily accessible.
Ticket prices are great. Yep.
I think that's great.
Yeah, so maybe because of my connection to the university and athletics, I pay a little more attention or take it a little more personally when people complain about, coaching decisions and on-field performance and all these different things. But I look at it and say, in my lifetime, the number of losing seasons that basketball and football have had can be counted on one hand.
Right.
Like, we are, as a community, we are blessed to have high-performing Division I athletics.
Yeah, and those athletes want to play here too, from what I understand. I mean,
well
it's
said.
like they're eager to be involved with a strong program. So.
Well, and you hear the same thing, it's talking to Toledo Walleye hockey players. They say, like, I love to be in Toledo, right? That's like, this is
Once that's
the
translated
place to
into
be.
from Russian.
Speaking of hockey, the next event for the week is the Toledo
segue.
Walleye homestand, which I don't know what that word means, but I think it means that they have more than one game
That's right.
this weekend.
That means they own a farm.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's
They're going to sell
homestead.
tomatoes? Is
That's
that
right.
what
That's
it is?
exactly right.
I knew it.
Yep.
That more information can be found at ToledoWalleye.com, but there's a lot of walleye fans in our community.
It's been interesting. The players union, the players had a strike, kind of negotiating salary. What I was really impressed with is the Toledo Walleye players released a letter to the community saying, we want to be clear, this is a fight between the players and the union, or the players and the league. This is not at all about Toledo Walleye,
Right.
the Toledo Walleye management, or more importantly, the Toledo Walleye fans.
Well, I think if you think about experiences, and we're all old enough to have gone to probably Gold Diggers games, right, and certainly Storm, and the vast difference between the experience that you would have, not that that wasn't loved by many,
Right.
and a walleye experience. I mean, that is a family-friendly, raucous, exciting. I mean, the hockey is certainly of excellent caliber, don't get me wrong, but that's really a backdrop to all the other stuff that they're participating in.
Yeah, both the Mud Hens and the Walleye have done such a good job to bring extra promotional kind of aspects to the game. Not that the game isn't enough itself, but when you have, I think that one of the games this week is the Red Wing affiliate night. So the Red Wings have been around for 100 years. while I have been with the, as the affiliate, ECHL affiliate for 16 years, so they have, a specialty jersey and access to some of the players after the game, those types of things, and they've done, skate with the players, just those kinds of things I think are just an added experience, especially for young people to.
And you get that in a town our size too. But I will tell you, of all the events, that there is a laundry list on Toledo.com that is all connected by a great mass transit system, TARTA, because that is how people get to these events.
That's right.
So a nod to that leadership there, and that way everyone can go. But almost everything we mentioned is in pretty close proximity. So I know I'm preaching to the choir here, and certainly the essence of the show. But people bemoan living here for a number of reasons, right? Almost all of them without merit. There's nothing to do here, or it's just one thing or the other you have to pick. But you could, these are all within probably a 5-mile radius.
Yeah.
And God forbid you hit multiple things up in a night.
We do have one more thing to go over, and I think this is in the event that John, you mentioned you were probably going to be going to.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Live Arts Toledo is starting a new series of sort of niche performances. They're bringing in some really unique and different live performing artists to their new facility in the Bob Bell studio, to their new facility out there on Heather Downs. And I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, but it's Leah Mara and the River Boys.
That's right.
And they're going to be playing.
Which one of those did you think was going to, the ampersand?
Yes, I didn't understand what that meant.
Okay, I didn't know which one you thought was going to.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, you said a lot of it already. This new space that Live Arts Toledo has, and I was fortunate enough to tour it, several months ago, and I'm sure you've all been in it, and they have performance spaces in there. I think people need to recognize that it's right next door to the Stranahan, and it's not the Stranahan, but it used to be, for people who have been in Toledo for a long time, the Masonic, it's where the Masons had their meetings and things. So it was always a closed off space that was never really open to the public, and now all of a sudden there are these really beautiful performance spaces, and one in particular, I want to say it seats maybe 300, something like that. And so this particular band, you think of the symphony and the ballet and the jazz orchestra. Well, this is folk and bluegrass, Americana, kind of in that genre, which appeals to me. And I really want to see that space. And that's just an intimate event with watching live music with 300 people. That's just kind of like a dream.
Very cool.
I think when I talk to people about events in Toledo, sporting events, concerts, etc., access is really what I sort of highlight. I went to a University of Michigan basketball game last week, and we sat in the rafters, nowhere near anything, and felt a distance between the court and where I was at. At a Toledo game, when my family goes to a game, obviously I'm sitting courtside, so I've got a unique perspective there. Even when my family goes, they are a couple of rows up, and the players are coming into the stands after the game, and it's Walleye's the same way, right? Skate with the players after a game and have interactions. When you go to an event at Live Arts Toledo, literally, I mean, those venues are those new spaces.
The new spaces
are
are
beautiful
amazing.
And interactive. So that's incredible. Well, John, thank you so much.
John, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited about the partnership. Really, complimented that you guys asked us to be involved. So looking forward to, sharing more event information. Please utilize the website, to maximize this kind of connection.
So every Thursday, we're going to feature our Toledo.com community calendar presented by TARTA. Obviously a great way to connect you to different places around the region. And of course, you can check out tarta.com/routes, has all of the available routes in the region to help connect you to each of these events as well. John, thank you so much for the time. We'll see you back in a week.
Sounds
How's that
great.
sound? Perfect.
See you soon.
All right, we'll be right back with Dr. Katie Peters here on the 419.
Every day when you walk.
You laughed with us. You learned with us.
Hi, neighbor.
We made sure your childhood was special. Memories that could only be provided by PBS. For generations, we've given you programs that made a difference. Programs that entertained, informed, and inspired. And today is no different. This is WGTE Public Media in Toledo. It's where you belong.
Introducing The Local Thread, a community news series uniting voices and storytellers from across the region. In partnership with La Prensa, the Toledo Free Press, the Sojourner's Truth, Toledo Public Schools, and veteran journalist Jerry Anderson. The Local Thread brings you stories and conversations that connect our community. Hear it weeknights at 7 on FM 91 with early access on podcast platforms each morning. The Local Thread, only on WGTE.
Welcome back into the 419. We are pleased to be joined now by Dr. Katie Peters.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So good to see you.
So great to be here.
So I saw a post on Facebook, and we'll get into this in a little bit, that you've got an event coming up on Sunday.
I do.
Talking about kindness. But I want to kind of start with kind of the journey to get you to this space of being a public speaker. I mean, you and I did theater together
years ago.
A while ago.
I didn't know that
either. Yeah.
Yes.
What theater?
We did Toledo Rep.
Yep. Christmas
Okay.
Carol.
Christmas Carol. I mean, everyone starts with
Everyone did. I did Christmas
Christmas
Carol as well.
right?
Yes,
It's an experience.
Oh.
Did you do more shows with? That was the only rep show I did. Was
Oh
Christmas
yes,
Carol.
lots of rep shows.
I was
Crazy
the
for
wench.
You. And, oh, you were a wench?
Yeah.
How did you play that role?
I did it pretty well.
I bet.
It was typecasting.
I have so many things that I want to say that,
I
you know
just,
what? On the podcast we could say all of them. But
No,
here on
you can't.
WGTE,
Yeah.
we gotta
There's
do it.
rules here,
Knew
thankfully.
us. That's right.
There are standards that didn't exist
That's right.
for the last
I've written
2
something
years.
down though, Doctor, if you could read it.
So you went from, obviously went post theater. You had a
Yes.
successful career in the classroom.
Yes, I was an English teacher for 23 years, 12 of that in Toledo Public Schools, and had a great experience
Where
there.
were you?
I was at Rogers.
Yeah, sure.
And absolutely love my time as a Ram, but I grew up and live currently in Washington Local. So when the opportunity presented itself to move to my home school, my home district, I took that, and I taught at Whitmer for an additional 11 years. And then the previous superintendent invited me, asked me if I would be interested in being a director of communications, to which I immediately said no. I love the classroom, I love kids. And she said, but you could tell a lot more stories and celebrate a lot more kids if you tried it. So I agreed to give her a year, and this is year 4.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
You do not look in any way old enough to have been teaching for 23
I was
years.
gonna, 23 in totality, or it's 23?
It's 24 this year.
24 this year.
Yes.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yes, it would be 24 in education this year. So thank you for that.
Sure.
Was there a moment in the classroom that kind of you realized that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, that maybe became part of that challenge to say, I don't know that I want to leave the classroom?
Every day. Honestly, every day in the classroom felt like that to me. I always knew that that was where my footing was. I love the relationships. I think teenagers are the most untapped demographic on the planet. I think they get a bad rap. They are bright, they're inquisitive, they care about the future. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times there's a communication breakdown between the elder generation and teenagers, but I loved being able to celebrate that and live that every day, which is why it was so hard to leave. But the former superintendent was correct. I get to celebrate so many kids, K-12 now, and the wonderful things that they do.
And not to imply, at the risk of you jumping across the desk and attacking me here when I say, like, teachers get summers off, because I know that's not fully accurate. But that's not the case with the new job now.
That is
right?
not the case,
You
no.
have maybe more of a 9 to 5 and 12 months out of the year.
Absolutely. Saturdays and Sundays, when things
Yes,
happen in our
100%.
city, when things
Emergency
happen
thing, right.
in our district. I mean, unfortunately, when there's bad news in the city somewhere, the first thing I'm doing is calling our local law enforcement to say, where did this individual go to school? Is that student one of ours? Because we want to put supports in place as quickly as possible for the rest of our community if there is a tragedy or something that happens. So it is definitely more time consuming. However, it is also really gratifying to feel like I can help facilitate that growth and that support for kids.
Well, I think I appreciate, I'm going to just totally monopolize this entire thing because I enjoy catching up with Katie. I appreciate that even when you guys have had some challenges, right? There's some communication, PR kind of things where it's like, all right, we would rather this event have not had happened and not have to talk about it, but you're a committed champion for students. And I think that comes through with your work with Washington Local as well.
Well, and people don't trust you if you're not transparent. When bad things happen, and they will, in any organization, in any city, in any place, the best thing you can do is tell the truth. And sometimes the only answer I have is we don't know. We don't know that yet. When we find that out, we will let you know, but we just don't have that information yet. And I am completely comfortable and honest saying, we don't know. We don't know why this breakdown happened, and we're going to investigate, and we're going to get better from it, and we're going to find out. So I think it's frustrating to be on the other side of misinformation or lacking information. So yeah, that was one of the things I had said in taking the position was, I'm not going to lie for anybody, and I want to be sure that we're always transparent. And luckily, I work for an organization who completely agrees with that.
That's great.
If you've had any time, there is no separation now between work and state.
No.
You're on your phone, I assume, constantly checking. I mean, our jobs are relatively similar, although I have a great support team who carries a lot of freight. But like you said, you're refreshing
Constantly.
Constantly.
Yes, and I also run the district social media, so I'm also a proponent for not letting misinformation lie. So if someone does post something that's inaccurate, I want to be sure very quickly and promptly we correct that publicly. So I will respond to someone online and say,
that's the way people get information now. So if you let it lie, it becomes
the story.
A fact. It becomes a thing that people believe.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely.
Gretchen was actually never in the Christmas Carol. So I think we should make that correction now before it gets out there.
But she was a wench.
Yeah. Well,
that much is true.
So talk to me a little bit about, at the risk of asking you a personal question, how are you now separating or giving yourself time? It sounds like you've never been able to separate a work
Not so
balance. Okay, well, talk to me a little bit about that, waking up at 4 a.m., or what's 24 hours with you look like now?
It is a challenge. It's in my yearly evaluation. Our current superintendent always says, "How are you being balanced? What are you doing outside of this?" Because you do spend so many hours investing into your community when you care.
And you have to.
And you have to.
I agree.
And I live here. It matters to me. It's important to me. And so I do get up at 4:30 every day to run. So that's something that I do just for myself.
That's so annoying.
Yeah. Just say we do
it. Just for myself. And that's just time for me to reflect. There's not a lot going on then. And everyone else gets excited about a snow day. I don't love a snow day because it is so much work on the back end to alert everybody, make sure that the buses are where they're supposed to be and parents are aware. But
preparing for the snarky comments and things of that variety.
You can't win for losing.
To that end, too, how do you, obviously, we were meeting for the first time. It sounds like I'm the only one. So congratulations on your life decisions to this moment.
Thank you.
But you are extremely positive. It's an ugly world out there to some degree, although we don't prescribe that to be holistically true. But how do you manage that as well, the negativity that you are up against, to your point, correcting things that people are saying sometimes purposefully? You know, I work for a great organization. Every time we do something, there'll be someone that posts, "Fix our roads." Like, okay, well, we don't fix roads. But
Absolutely.
What is the equivalent to that? How do you balance your own positivity?
Well, first of all, fundamentally, I believe people are good. I truly believe that 98 out of 100 people would help you in the street if you needed something.
I agree.
And so that helps drive me because I do believe that the loud ones can sometimes make you question it, but it doesn't make it factual. It doesn't make it true. And I also am always cognizant of the fact that I and we are modeling behaviors for children. So even online, if someone is disrespectful and rude online, I'm never going to return that energy because children are reading that. Teenagers are reading that. And I want them to see, that didn't seem to ruffle her. That didn't seem to bother her. She didn't let that get to her. Because that is what we need to do with people who don't deserve our energy and don't deserve that response.
You've had a couple of moments in your career that social media posts have, and I mean this in the best sense, have gone viral.
Yes.
Were you expecting that? Kind of explain to people that may not be familiar with the different moments, kind of what they were, and whether you were expecting that.
So I've had a few viral videos that have gone, I guess, beyond Toledo. And I'm always surprised because honestly, my message is consistently be nice to each other, be kind, and it will pay off in the end. And so when those go viral and people are like, wow, this is earth-shattering, this is amazing, I love this, I always think it's surprising to me. It's actually a little sad that that's newsworthy because it is such an innate thing in the human species to be communal, to be unified. And so, just the other day a video went viral where I talked about a person on my street who is no longer able to keep up her snow care. So the other neighbors on the street have just jumped in and we just, he'll do it or I'll do it or one of us will do it. And everyone's like, this is how it should be in America. And I really truly believe this is how it is most places. It's not newsworthy to help your neighbor. It's just what we should do. I would hope someone would do that for my mother. and for my father. So it is surprising, but it's also gratifying because it does offer validation that we're on the right path. This is what people want. This is what we want to see.
And they're seeking it out, right?
And they're seeking it, right.
Was some of that happening kind of what made you realize that you've got a platform and to use it to spread positivity and kindness?
Absolutely. So I was invited to speak at UMich Hospital.
Cool.
I have spoken to organizations, to school districts, and really to the adults about the importance of how you approach your life and how you approach your career impacts the people around you. You have the ability to change the way someone else feels about themselves. And that is a tremendous power.
Absolutely.
And we should use that for good. And I would think that was common, but the message seems to be landing well.
If I could back up just a second, have you always been comfortable public speaking or being this open or vulnerable, or how your parents informed this, or tell me a little bit about how you became capable of carrying this message?
Well, teaching for sure, right? You get very comfortable. Teenagers will let you know all about yourself.
Yeah,
and if
sure.
your outfit is wrinkled, they're going to ask you why.
But that'd be terrifying for most people to even be able to do that.
It would be, but I also felt that, well, I grew up in theater, so that's helpful to be on stage and to be in front of people, even not in lead roles, just having everyone looking at you is a unique feeling.
And your folks, theater people,
No.
they promoted this?
No.
Okay.
My mother is in the medical career, and my father's an attorney.
Okay.
So neither one grew up very out in the public, so to speak. But I just really have always felt that if you have a message to share, that the uncomfortability that you feel is not worth the trade-off of them not hearing that.
That's well said.
And so I'm willing to do that.
So you've got an event coming up Sunday.
Yes.
I, at the risk of me sounding as old as I am, the title of the event, There's No Cap on Kind.
Do you know what no cap means?
I have no idea what that
It
means.
means it's true.
Yeah, you're not lying.
Yeah.
Capping means you're lying.
Come on, Kevin, get with it.
Okay.
I still don't know what we're saying.
The event, Sunday, January 11th at Christ Presbyterian Church.
Yes.
And
It's a free event?
The graphic that I saw on social media also says the event is from 6 to 7.
I mean, you have to throw it in if you want to grab their attention, right?
So bad.
Yes.
What are you going to be talking about?
So it began because Christ Presbyterian Church reached out to me after seeing that their youth group had experienced some bullying.
Oh.
And so they said, would you want to come talk to our youth group? And I said, I absolutely will, but I also think this is a message for your congregation. I don't think the adults in the world are doing a great job of modeling. And so they agreed to open it to the public, and they have been so kind and gracious to offer us their space. And so far we have about 60 people who are registered to come.
Yeah.
And it's open, it's free, you don't have to register, but we were just collecting them because Christ Presbyterian is very hospitable, and they're going to provide cookies.
Yes.
So they wanted enough.
Yeah, sure.
Now we're going.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's going to be a really great hour of rejuvenating people to believing what they already know is true, which is that we want community, we want connection, and we are capable of it.
I love it.
If you had to give somebody, they can't make it Sunday, you had to give somebody one tip to approach a day with kindness and positivity, what's your number one?
The only way evil ever wins is when we allow ourselves to believe it's in charge. So when you face evil, whether that's someone cutting you off in traffic, whether that's someone being rude to you, whether it's someone at work or school that makes your life difficult, when you allow yourself to believe they are right, you lose the control and the power of the situation of what you actually want that transaction to be. So when someone approaches me unkindly, I simply think to myself, wow, they must be having a really tough time. That doesn't have anything to do with me. I hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
All right, rapid fire. It's time for Gretchen's wacky.
I love this.
Wacky quiz.
I love this.
All right, 4 rapid fire questions. Okay. Is honesty always the best policy?
Transparency is always the best policy. I think you can do that with kindness.
If you could choose any 2 famous people to have dinner with, who would they be?
I would probably choose Brene Brown because I really love and admire her. And I mean, my students will kill me if I don't say this. I have always had a massive crush on Will Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
I knew this from your social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite hobby?
I was going to say running, but that's not true. I actually hate running. I love to write.
Would you describe yourself as a good cook?
Absolutely not. No question.
And
No.
that's transparency.
I'm a great orderer.
Yeah.
What's your number one favorite thing about the city or the region?
We do not just live here, we actually belong here. We find places where everyone belongs. We can be refined and go to Mancy's and the Valentine for a great night, or we can throw on our jeans and sneaks and yell, hit somebody at the walleye, and everyone finds a place where they belong here.
I love that.
All right, 9 words that describe our region to you.
Oh, I thought about this, and I love an acronym, so this is going to spell Toledoans. Are you ready?
Oh my God.
You
Yes.
are good.
Yes.
This is going to go viral.
That's right.
True organic love, even despite obstacles and needed support.
The best one yet.
So I feel like we are truly a loving group, and even when things fall short and we need more, we still go out there and we do it.
Yeah.
You've both proven and also probably ruined our 419.
That will be our last. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That will be the last time we offer that.
Dr. Katie Peters, thank you
so much.
Thank
much.
you
We
so
appreciate
much.
your time. We'll be right back to close out this episode of the 419.
To me, community means connecting to others.
What will it really take to bring peace to Toledo's neighborhoods?
We're a community committed to education. Discover new ideas, dive into exciting subjects, and engage with the world around you.
It's all chapters in a book.
I would send them personally a t-shirt. Crime doesn't pay in the Old West End, pass it on. That's how we cleaned up the neighborhood.
Brings back memories that you don't think are there, you know.
WGTE Public Media invites you to Get Out and Play Day.
The people of Toledo have really become family. You know, they walk in and it was just like, hey, it's so good to see you.
Hello there and welcome to a WGTE Public Media Town Hall meeting.
WGTE, where you come to watch, listen, and learn.
I love PBS Kids.
Welcome back into the 419. Wow, another great episode.
Yes.
But we'll find out from Gretchen's mom. So it's hard to,
Stay tuned.
on pins and needles.
John was fantastic.
Yes.
I'm excited about that partnership and certainly appreciative of Tarda for bringing that Toledo.com community calendar to this program.
It's going to be a great resource.
And you're going to the Taylor Swift event.
I'm performing in it.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Yep.
You are.
That was not on the calendar.
Yes.
Perfect. That is amazing. And then obviously Dr. Katie Peters. I mean, we talked about it in the break. Like, just makes you. What did you say?
It makes me want to be a nicer person. It might last for today. I think I'll get through today.
Yes, a great message. I think that it is also, it's okay to say that just the next best thing you can do, just do the best you can.
That's right.
And the first time I'm meeting her, is clearly a great lady, doing great things and inspiring a lot of people, including myself this morning, or whenever.
Tomorrow on the show,
Yes.
We come back to our kind of the signature of the 419 as a podcast was the surprise guest, where
And a cooking demonstration.
Right. So you're going to bring on a guest.
Yes.
And Matt and I have no idea who this
That's right.
person is.
So I've communicated with this person. They're going to come on and surprise you too, and we'll have a very zen conversation with them.
Oh,
That's
is that
a hint.
clue?
That's a hint.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You say the name's Ben?
Yeah.
A very Ben conversation. Oh, man,
And we'll also
fantastic.
talk to Kathy Comensa, who's the program director here at WGTE, and she'll talk a little bit about all the new things that are happening at WGTE in 2026.
Perfect. Huge thanks to John Iikist from Toledo.com for joining us for our Toledo.com community calendar presented by Tarda. And thanks to Dr. Katie Peters for joining us as well, talking about her great event. There's No Cap on Kind coming up Sunday at Christ Presbyterian Church. We got to make sure that event is on the community calendar.
Yes,
we'll
we
do
do.
that.
Yep.
And of course, thanks to you for listening. Join us tomorrow when we've got our surprise guest. Huge thanks to our supporters, and thanks to you. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the 419 powered by WGTE, presented by WeTro Wealth Management.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.